Hi, this is Tim Krolsky. You've gotten to know some of Garner's folks personally through my podcast. Now it's time for you to hear about the ever-changing things happening in the trucking industry. From regulations to technology to customers and the daily life of a trucker, it's time to hear from the folks on the road and the people off the road who provide support. What will your perspective be? Will you agree with the thoughts of others? Find out when you come with me on Garner Trucking's Beyond the Cab. Hello and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Cab. I'm your host, Tim Krolsky, and with me today I have our brand new IT manager, Josh Ramirez. Josh, thanks for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
This is a great way to kind of do an introduction to everyone in the company and certainly anyone outside the company that's listening. We kind of got surprised. We had a long-term IT manager, did a great job for us, and sad to see Jeff go, and so thankful to have a great replacement for him, and the job that you've been doing for us thus far has been outstanding. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
So Josh, originally here, Findlay, Ohio is home.
Yes.
Where'd you go to school?
Graduated from Findlay High School.
Okay.
And did some college at Owens here in Findlay, finished off in the Toledo, and then graduated from Tiffin University.
Okay, and we're married. We got kids.
Yes.
Okay, how long have you been married?
Been married for 7 years, a little over 7 years. I've been with my wife since 2007, so 14 years.
Okay.
Almost 15.
So double it, right?
Yeah.
Double it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we've got a son and a daughter.
Yes, I got a son and daughter, and then I have a stepdaughter who I've been in her life since she was a little before 4 years old.
So pretty much the whole time.
Pretty much a daughter too.
Yeah, I've got the same situation.
Yeah. Yep.
Totally get that. What are the kids into? What do they like to do outside of schooling?
My daughter, my youngest, loves softball. She would do that all year round if she could. She's starting to get into volleyball a little bit now. My son right now, he used to get into football, soccer, basketball. He's had some issues with his legs here recently, so right now he just works and goes to school pretty much. And my oldest has graduated, so now she is just working right now currently.
Okay. So for you, we're going to get into a little bit about who you are and where you come from and all those types of things. But I mentioned, that you just are pretty much a brand new hire back in July of this year, and we've had a lot going on since the time you walked in the door.
Yes.
Just real briefly, high level, could you talk about some of the accomplishments here from July through currently it's October?
Yeah, I think the big thing was the phone system.
For sure.
Came in right.
For sure.
Kind of right in the middle of the phone system. So, I'd say that's the big thing that took about the first month and a half of my time here was getting the phone system implemented, which is fully implemented now. I think we still have a couple little bugs that we see here and there, but for the most part, it's operational. It's running full operation right now. So, besides that, just working on a couple of projects with GCM, try to get them, their network up to standard a little bit better.
Sure. Got some backup sharing and stuff now between both organizations, Which is great, and taking control of that data, which is certainly very helpful. So in terms of kind of where you came from, you definitely come from a different background than trucking. Talk to us a little bit about where you came from and kind of what life was like before you started with us.
Yeah, so after I graduated high school, I started working at an Automotive Factory here in Findlay.
Okay.
Started out there on the floor, did production for probably 8-9 years, and then moved into the IT. So basically it was all just automotive. We made a lot of air filters, oil filters at one point. So just dealing with the automotive world definitely had its up and downs. There was a lot of times when, car business is, sales are really high, then they go really low, really high, really low. So
yeah, there can be definitely some inconsistency with the industry.
It was really hectic. It was a big company, so it was kind of like on a roller coaster.
Well, you were used to a lot of multiple stations and dealing with not only the stations and the people there, but the machinery kind of the digital side of what controls the machinery as well, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we integrated a lot with the machines. We started working on, line side labeling for a lot of the containers, so we were putting little workstations out on the lines, printers on the lines. So I mainly dealt with the networking down there, and then teamed up with a couple of engineers for, the PLC integrations of the machines and getting, over 50 lines pretty much running on this line side labeling.
Sure. So would you say dynamically different between the auto industry and the trucking industry?
Yes, very.
Would you? So better or worse? Or maybe I shouldn't ask.
Yeah. So far, trucking's better.
That's what we like to hear.
Yes.
What was your first paying job?
My first paying job was Hardee's, actually.
Is that right?
So I working at Hardee's here in Findlay.
The Frisco burger.
Yeah, I loved Hardee's.
I did too.
A little too much.
I might have bought a hamburger or two from you back in the day. So at this point, I kind of touched on this a little bit, but what have you learned, or what are you most surprised by regarding trucking?
I think the biggest surprise to me was the integration with the trucks. When I first started here, learning about the OmniTrax part, the Total Mail part, the cameras in the cabs and cameras on the trucks, and a lot of that integration with the truck, I think I was most surprised about.
Okay, all right. Anything that hasn't surprised you? Anything that you knew kind of coming in?
I would say not really.
Okay, so it's all kind of been an open learning experience for you. What do you think? And I want to get a little philosophical on you now. What do you think the biggest reason or the most common reason for people failing on something or giving up on something? What would you say that reasoning is?
I think everyone at least fails at least once in their life.
Let's
I
hope
know
so.
I know the better you plan things out, the less chance you have to fail.
Mm-hmm.
But I think failure happens in everyone's life. The part of giving up, I think, is more of I would say like a lack of discipline, I guess. I just feel like if you give up after the first time and walk away, to me I think that's more of a lack of discipline.
Okay. Is there anything you can draw on that you did have a failure at and now you're very successful with?
I would say IT. When I first started doing IT, the company I worked for, I started as a junior network administrator there, and there was a lot of things. Schooling teaches you a lot of things, but there's a lot of real life problems, and especially with computers. I mean, they have the mind of their own. They do something that you would never even learn in school, and some things you can't even look up online.
Right.
Stuff happens. So. Just IT in general, you learn so much as you go, and then you just, you keep that in your mind, and you just keep learning. I still to this day learn new things.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah. I think, I've been fortunate to manage the IT portion of the business here for many years now, and I have enough knowledge to just simply be dangerous and no more than that. But even inside of that, kind of the knowledge that gets brought to the table and the things that I get an opportunity to learn about, it's really very interesting stuff. And certainly we've seen a real growth in technology within our organization, certainly within the last 5 to 7 years especially. So thankful to have you here and to be a part of that. If you could kind of take a look back and talk to your 18-year-old self and explain or teach something or caution something, what would that be to your 18-year-old Josh Ramirez?
I would say I would have started college after high school.
Okay.
I waited, and then to me it was harder to go after I had younger kids. I feel like I missed out a lot because I worked full time. I worked over full time. There was a lot of weeks where I was working 60, 70 hours a week, plus going to school full time, just because I didn't want to draw it out any longer than it needed to be. I just wanted to, hurry up and get done. So I think it would have been a lot easier if I would have went prior to having kids and just trying to get that out of the way first. because I feel like I did miss out quite a bit on, when my kids were younger.
Don't you find though that on the flip side of that, because I kind of experienced a little bit of that. I did go right out of high school into college, but then had to take some time off. Um, what kind of lessons and things did you learn during that time frame, that gap between high school and college? I mean, did you pick up on some life hacks or those types of things? I mean, did you find value in that time?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like I said, I started working right after high school, so and just working a lot, and I even bought a house before that, and getting everything situated like that, I think was, I think I did learn a lot between the gaps there.
I think there's something sometimes to be said for, school of hard knocks or the school of life. Those types of things really have their own lessons. I've often said that I try not to live with regret in life. If I've made a mistake or an error, there was a reason that I did that, and it taught me something, and I learned something from it. But certainly I understand raising young children and a full-time job and going to college. I've done those same things myself, so I can definitely empathize with what you're talking about there.
Thank goodness that my wife was, she was the rock for those years.
That's kind of how that works too. You got to have a solid commitment at home to be able to help to kind of balance that world, and so you can get the things done you need to get done. And certainly then in hindsight, I'm sure you return the favor now, right?
Yes.
So what would you say your greatest fear is, and how do you manage that fear?
I think my greatest fear right now is, I would say, just kind of how the world's going right now. I get pretty fearful for my children growing up. There's just a lot going on right now, and that kind of brings fear to me. And and really the only way that I try to deal with that is just try to think positive and try to teach them the best that I can, the right values and stuff that I can.
Just to kind of keep some balance in their lives and in your life. How do you kind of combat that fear at this point? What are techniques? What things do you do to kind of subside and keep control of that?
Yeah, I just gotta keep trying to stay positive about it. And there's a lot going on, and even with the schools and stuff, I just I'm pretty fearful for the kids, but I just try to stay positive and try as best I can to to try to block a lot of that what's going on from them, and just try to stay positive in front of them and try to help them the best I can.
Sure, I appreciate that. I really do. If you could have dinner with any three people, alive, dead, who would those people be, and why? Age-old question.
Yes. I would say the first person would probably be my grandfather. I was raised by my grandparents for majority of my childhood, so he played a big role in my life.
Okay.
He passed away when I was like 16, so he was a truck driver. So
is that right?
Yeah, he drove truck. So I just remember being a little kid and him coming home, he'd bring his truck home sometimes, and I always thought that was pretty cool. But I definitely say him. I'm gonna go Chris Farley. I love comedy. I love, I could just imagine having a dinner with someone like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a good time, lots of laughs. So I definitely go Chris Farley. And then you said three, right?
Sure.
And I'm gonna go Woody Hayes, just because I've been on the Ohio State kick today. I've been battling Jenny downstairs today. I'm gonna go Woody Hayes. I'm not old enough to remember him as an active coach, but
Sure.
I'm a big enough fan to know about him and kind of the legacy and the intensity that he brought. And I think having a dinner with a guy like that, and just to hear about some of the stories and I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I always think that particular question is a real insight into people in general. and certainly the dynamics of the folks that you picked for that are, I would not have guessed that those would have been, your answer. Especially when you get to someone like a Chris Farley that, you're just going to go out and probably have a very good time with that individual. Woody Hayes is going to teach you a tremendous amount about probably, or at least you think he's going to teach you a lot about life and a lot about people and how to handle people and how to motivate and those types of things, which is always, for any leadership, that's always kind of job number one, is how do we get someone motivated to do X, Y, Z. And then, those personal influences, again, always seem to come out with that question, being that your grandfather, and obviously very close, if that's the male role model in your life, that's the individual that has a lot of influence. I think maybe the most influence if you're a boy growing up. So
yep.
That's a pretty cool set of answers, and I appreciate you sharing that. What about, outside of work? You get some hobbies, some things you like to do besides IT. You want to get away from that. What do you do? What's your go-to things?
Most of the time it's, usually something with the kids, or the family. We're usually doing stuff. My father-in-law likes to shoot pool on Friday nights, so a lot of times I like to go over there, and, he always has a lot of the family over there, and we just, listen to music, relax, shoot pool. And then I'd say I don't do it enough, but I like to, travel a little bit more. My wife and I, we like, sometimes we go out to eat and stuff, but I like to go to, different towns and stuff like that.
Yeah. Where's your favorite place to go?
We just went there last weekend, actually. It's called San Marcos. It's in Toledo.
Okay.
It's on Broadway Street.
Okay.
It's when you first walk in, it's like a little grocery store. You got to cut to the back. You get to the back's the restaurant. That's probably one of my wife and I's favorite places to go.
I don't know if you and I have shared this conversation before, but I got an opportunity in San Diego to go to an Italian restaurant. And it was the same exact format. I mean, the whole front of the store was this very tiny little grocery store. You were really belly to belly with anyone that else was in there. I mean, the aisleways were very tiny. And in the back of the store, there was an actual restaurant back there. And it had actually a couple of different sections. And the one section you feel like was more family dining, and the other section was a little bit more, here's the kitchen right in front of you. We're going to cook you a meal. You're going to eat it, and you're going to get out of here type deal. Yeah. Amazing food, though. Amazing food.
They have amazing food. Besides my grandmother's cooking, that's probably my favorite Mexican restaurant.
No kidding.
Yep.
I'm going to have to try that out. That sounds great. What would you say if I asked you, and I know you and I have had some conversations outside of the workplace regarding different things, television and music and those types of things, but if you had to choose a favorite music, favorite band, favorite song, what would that be? What are the things you really enjoy?
This is another tough question.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same for me.
It could change at I feel like any hour of the day.
That's fair.
Most of my day, honestly, I listen to, as you know, I listen to 106.3 like pretty much all day. Mm-hmm. 70s, 80s rock. I really enjoy that. So that's pretty much my go-to. I do get into like older hip hop. There are some, pop songs on the radio that I like. There's a couple, I'd say, in the 90s kind of rock range of stuff, so I think my go-to is definitely going to be some older rock. That's definitely the go-to for me.
Yeah. I definitely hear that coming out of your office every once in a while. Yeah. So, I was going to ask you, since I am your current boss, what kind of advice would you give to your previous boss?
That's a tough question. My previous boss, I feel like was an awesome boss. He taught me a lot, especially when I was, starting to move up in the IT department. She taught me a lot of things there, just on the manager side of stuff. So,
sure.
Unfortunately, she left the company, prior to me leaving the company. But I can't really think of anything as far as advice-wise I'd give her.
What type of things did you gain from her leadership? What do you take away? Because you said there was quite a bit there from a management perspective.
I think it was mainly just dealing with people as far as being their boss, and how to how to approach different situations. Being a boss and having people work under you. There's a lot of things you really have to balance out there. So she taught me a lot about that, and just trying to learn to delegate, and also when to step in, take control, certain situations, and also just trying not to overkill yourself, when you can. There's certain things you can delegate when you're used to doing it all yourself for so long, so there's a lot of that she taught me too. And and just a lot of when you leave work, try to leave work at work, so when you go home you're not taking everything with you, and trying to balance that life and
home.
Work life.
It's that's always kind of a challenging piece, and I think the further and the deeper you get into an organization, it becomes a lot more difficult to kind of separate the two, just because you're so intertwined. What would you say about the culture here at this point? Again, it's still relatively a short time that you've been with us, but what do you see as pluses and minuses at this point as far as the culture here?
The culture is amazing here. I heard so many good things about Garner before I actually started working here. And when I applied for the job, I did start doing a little bit of investigation, trying to figure out, did anyone know someone that worked here, and just even all the way down, to like, well, this is my, cousin's dad that worked there, and they love that place, so just heard a lot of good things, and it was all true. I mean, the culture here is amazing. Everyone seems to get along. It's, it almost feels like a family, so, that's amazing, and so even the drivers, you get, these drivers, everyone is just so, close, I feel like. So the atmosphere is amazing here.
It's definitely easier to do when you're a smaller size organization. It gives you a chance to be a bit more mobile, I think, and a bit more honest and earnest about things, and intentional in terms of conversation and getting to know people and stuff. And I think you've certainly been embraced by the culture here and the people here, and it's always really cool to see when you hire somebody and watch them kind of fold in and to the surrounding environment and become a part of things.
Yeah, it's very easy to do here.
Well, so here's the big question, the $1 million question. What kind of projects do we have coming up next for IT, and what's that going to mean for us as an organization?
Well, I know, the phone system, we're still kind of working some smaller bugs out, but as far as coming down the pipe, I know we were working on some stuff with the trucks, with the 3G going away soon. Yeah. So just trying to, get that plan rolled out for that.
We've got some meetings here in the coming weeks, just to get a better understanding of what things could look like in terms of communication and how we use that communication and what we do with it, and certainly trying to make the driver's life a lot easier tomorrow versus what it is today in terms of the amount of data entry and those types of things. Anything that we can do to kind of streamline those processes are going to be appreciated by the driver and certainly help us too. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's going to be a big undertaking here within the next year or so.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think the other stuff's probably more behind the scenes. I don't really know if it's going to, be a big effect on a lot of people.
On the fleet or anybody. Yeah, I can appreciate that. I know just understanding our network in total and a lot of the improvements that we've made over the last, again, 5 to 7 years to really kind of strengthen what we have both internally and externally, what we're able to offer to our drivers and offer to the staff here, I think has come a long way. So I genuinely look forward to seeing what direction things take under your leadership with the IT. And Josh, I want to thank you again for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. And until we meet again on the next edition of Beyond the Cab, thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.